Hello, Richard from budgetguitarist.com. I'm closer to the camera than normal because I'm using the camera mic, but it's just going to be for a minute. Today we're going to talk about noise, specifically when you got an HX Stomp or you got some kind of keyboard and you plug it into your mixer and you crank your speakers up and you hear a hum or you hear like a high-pitched whining crazy sound. That's not going to work in a semi-pro studio, and it sure as heck is not going to work in a gig environment. So how do you get rid of that noise? Well, I'm going to go over 3 ways you can do that, and I'm going to explain which way I chose. Then I'm going to give you a demonstration. Fixing USB noise issues. Now I've got a Yamaha MX88 keyboard and an HX Stomp, and both of them have the same issue. They're a little noisy if I connect USB to my computer and my computer to my mixer. So anytime you got a USB device, it is possible that if you connect it in any way, shape, or form to a speaker, you may have a hum or a high-pitched noise. So that's what this is about, fixing that. So in order to talk about this, let's understand what causes hums and whining sounds and sometimes that jittery sound that you hear. It's all caused by ground loops. And so what that means is that with any kind of electrical device, whether it's USB powered or, something you plug into the wall, there's always a ground, right? The problem is when you have more than one device, like in my case, I've got several, each of those devices may have its own method of grounding. So that can lead to multiple ground paths. And what that does is it makes a big old antenna. And this antenna is really good at picking up noise around 50 or 60 hertz, magnetic fields from AC power, other fun electrical whines and sounds, and it's really annoying. That's what we're trying to get rid of, that ground loop. So how do you fix this? Well, there's a lot of ways. Here's 3 of them. You can get something called a USB ground loop isolator. So that's a little electronic gizmo that you plug your USB cable into. So it goes between your device and your computer. And they can be inexpensive. They can also be kind of complicated. There's an audio ground loop isolator box, which is kind of like a DI box, basically, right? And then there are special USB cables that have what are called ferrite beads, which is just sort of like a way of trying to get rid of the whine and hum at the cable level. So let's talk about this. But before we do, what about Furman power conditioners? A lot of people say they got a Furman power conditioner to cut down or eliminate the noise in their studio. Well, I already have one of those, and I've got everything in my studio connected to the Furman unit. And it's good at keeping my devices safe, right? So any surges come through. It cuts down a little bit on noise, but it didn't help with any of my USB ground loop issues. So I had to find a different solution. So first, let's talk about the USB ground loop isolators. I have used one of these before, and it definitely worked. You can pick one up for $10 to $15 or anywhere up to $100. But the problem with these is it can potentially hurt your USB speed. Now, if you're only sending patch changes, maybe that doesn't matter. But there's another aspect to this that I don't like. Look at this little device here, right? So your entire gig or recording session is dependent on this cheap little piece of junk that was manufactured I don't know where, and any one of those little components can go bad. To me, it's kind of like a point of failure. Now, this is just my opinion, but if you already have one, you might give it a shot, or if you're looking for the cheapest solution. I think the cheapest one I found on Amazon was $9. So the second solution, which is my preferred solution, is an audio ground loop isolator box. These have little transformers in the box, and they're passive, right? So you don't have to plug these into electricity. And there's almost nothing that can go wrong with this box. This box will probably outlive me. They are a little bit more expensive than the past solution. This is like $30, somewhere around $30, but it's worth it. This particular box is made out of metal. You can stand on it. It's really well made. And so what it does is it converts unbalanced signals to balanced signals. And In doing so, it uses a transformer, and it'll get rid of any ground loop noise you have, or in my case it did. This is not 100% foolproof, but it's certainly a great approach. And as a side note to that, balanced cables are quieter, right? And they can also run longer distances, so that's a plus. So comparing the first option and the second, this is like, it's a little more expensive, but $30 is not much, right? And it's really well made, and it works really well, as you will see later. Okay, so here's the ferrite beads I was talking about. And if you look through your USB cables, if you've already got one of these with the big coily thing wrapped around each end, see them in the screenshot there, give that a try. I've had mixed results. I have a few of them, and sometimes they work for me, sometimes they don't. It's the cheapest solution. I mean, you might already have one, and you can get one for 10 bucks. But again, I had mixed results with that. Okay, so for me, the winner was the audio ground loop isolator box. This is the Pyle PHE 400, about 30 bucks. But again, it's less likely to fail, most likely to work. Not 100% guaranteed, because every situation is different, and you might have issues worse than mine. And let me mention the Furman power conditioner again. I do have a Furman power conditioner, and everything's going through it. If you don't have a power conditioner, like a Furman power conditioner, then, you know, there is the possibility that maybe some of the results I'm getting are being impacted by the Furman. In general, it's a good idea to have one anyway, just to protect your gear. But yeah, this worked great for me. And so now I'm going to show you the demo. I'll show you the whine before and after the PHE 400. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate the problem, and then I'm going to show you the fix. Okay, so I'm going to turn the volume all the way up here. Now I'm going to move the camera closer to the speakers so you can hear the sound. That's not the kind of sound we want to hear. Now, think about at a gig when you've got 2,000 watts that you have cranked up. It's going to be 20 times as loud as that, right? So here's how we get rid of it. Turn the volume down. This is the Pyle, pyleusa.com, PHE 400 Mini Hum Eliminator. As you can see, it'll handle 1/4 inch, it'll handle XLR. So it's channel 1, channel 2. Right? So here's the right, in and out. Here's the left, in and out. So I'm going to take these two cables, plug them into my mixing board, plug them in. Let's crank the volume. Okay, let me move the camera a little closer to the speaker, and then I'll add it back and forth so you can hear the difference. So there you go. That's why I chose the solution I did. I actually have two boxes. I've got one for my synthesizer and I've got one for my HX Stomp. I'm not saying that this is the best solution for everybody in every case, but what I am saying is I just demonstrated how well it worked for me. It's really not that expensive. It's, you know, $30-something or whatever it is, and it's totally worth it. The other benefit of using that box, of course, is that you can run longer lengths of cable and you don't have to worry about signal loss. Now, very important, don't use that thing on guitar because it will kill your signal. It's not designed for guitar. I know this is budget guitarist, right? But this is for electronic stuff. It's for computers. It's for anything that runs on USB, basically. If you have any USB devices and they're going into any kind of speakers, then if you've got that kind of high-pitched whiny noise, this is a really good, fairly inexpensive fix for it. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing, clicking the bell, give it a like, leave a comment. That's really important. The almighty algorithm loves it. And I will see you again next Friday at 5.